Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Browns Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, and this is where you can swing on in, get caught up on some of the latest news involving our Cleveland Browns, and get some takes about that news along the way. Thank you to everyone who has liked the previous episodes and have subscribed to the channel already. We're on our way to 6,000. Love it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and thank you to everybody who shares their thoughts in the viewer comments. Coming up on today's show, Minicamp, day one in the books. We're going to go over what we saw and heard that should matter most to Browns fans. Also, now that Nick Chubb is gone, I will share what will most likely be an unpopular opinion about running backs. Also, how the Nick Chubb situation applies to the Browns quarterback room, particularly when it comes to our rookie quarterbacks. And then down in the viewer comments, someone has a problem with the Browns team colors. We'll get to all that. But first, this minicamp is up and running. And there's Myles Garrett showing up for work. He was very businesslike on day one. He addressed the media, says he's very, knows he's going to be better. He's embracing the leadership role. We're going to talk more about him in just a minute. You also see Grant Delpit there and the defense practicing their interception routines. I like that. Hopefully we see that a lot. And then there he is, Deontay Johnson, catching passes. He's a guy that's under my microscope for sure. And then now, we can't go through this without talking about our quarterbacks. And the two guys who got the most action, at least in front of the cameras yesterday, are rookies, Dillon Gabriel and Shador Sanders. Kevin Stefanski continued to split the time for the quarterbacks on the field. The Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco were on one field, the rookies on another field. Dillon Gabriel was the first video posted by the Cleveland Browns Twitter. And all these pictures you see come from the Browns Twitter site, so I appreciate that from them. But so Gabriel got the first video, and they showed him throwing a nice pass to Jerry Jeudy. It wasn't much pressure, though. I don't even think there were linebackers on the field. But Gabriel went first in the first set of 11-on-11s, working with the first team O versus the first team D, and they switched off. Kenny Pickett on the other field was first in line ahead of Joe Flacco. Shador, though, had and you see that on the right, what might have been the prettiest pass of the day, a deep throw during 11-on-11s to Gage Larvidan. And so that was quite impressive to see both the rookies out there. And, they gave them plenty of time to talk. And so Kevin Stefanski saying, what they're looking at with the quarterbacks is they're watching the progressions and looking for, to see if they can find lanes to throw in, things like that. And again, Myles Garrett took the stand talking about, he said Dillon Gabriel, he thought he looked poised, but his eyes got big when he broke through the line one time. There's a video of him getting through the line and getting in his kind of getting up in his grill. He said his eyes got big on that. But Garrett saying that, he's going to take the reins and be that guy, be that leader. He's been in connection with his teammates, even though he was in Japan buying houses. He says he's been talking to everybody, talking about the workouts, how everything's going. He's happy, putting everything behind him. And then when somebody asked him about Aaron Rodgers going to Pittsburgh, he says it's a good opportunity to put him in the graveyard. So every Halloween, Myles Garrett puts his quarterback graveyard out in the front lawn, and he hopes to add Aaron Rodgers to it. So that was good to hear from him. Now, then after that was over, it was time for the quarterbacks to take. Look at that, Dillon Gabriel and Shador Sanders. We'll start with Shador. They got this out of the way right away, folks, right? Because I know everybody's going to, so let's do this up front. It's a smart move. I'm telling you, every move they make with these quarterbacks, people, it is calculated. Every single thing they do, especially with the media being out there in these early days, they are being very strategic. And Shador says he never feels full. He always feels hungry. There's always something to get better at. He's having fun with Joe and Kenny in the room. They joke all the time. He's learning a lot from them. He said he'd be a dummy not to learn or lean on Joe for advice. He said, when asked about playing under center, he said he grew up playing under center, so this kind of reminds him of his Little League days, but he said that preparation during the pre-draft process helped him a lot, got him, used to going under center again. He says he doesn't worry about the off-the-field stuff. Somebody asked him about Deion. He says he's not talking about Deion. He said he's focused on the playbook and being a Cleveland Brown. His goal is to be the best teammate and as positive an influence he can be. He still has a lot of time to grow and mature as a player, so he's not rushing this onto the field, folks. Everybody wants to see him on the field right away, but even Shador is saying, I've got time. There are things I need to learn. I need to grow as a player, because this is another level now. In the NFL. So, but he is feeling comfortable in Cleveland. And then he said, when it comes to reps, he doesn't care. Nobody cares about reps. He said, what people care about is production. And so when you get out there, it doesn't matter how many reps you had. You got to be able to get out there and you got to be able to produce. So Shador's saying a lot of great things at the podium. And then it was Dylan Gabriel's turn. I'll tell you what, he is equally impressive, folks. Gabriel saying all he's doing right now is controlling what he can control. Just trying to get some continuous improvement. He's managing the progression versus the regression. He says it's an up and down. You learn some things. Some days are good, some days are bad. As far as going under center, he said he played under center a lot at UCF, so he's used to it. And talked about Joe's experience. He says he even talks to Deshaun Watson in the room. So it's nice. He says he likes to get varying opinions on certain things, especially when it comes to putting context to a play and, as they're talking through things. And so he said he's going to be patient, just trying to build a solid foundation right now. Somebody asked him about playing with tall tackles. He said, I played with a 6'11" tackle. That's in the NFL now. So, yeah, he's played with tall tackles before. He's not worried about that. And he says Coach Musgrave gives him advice. And so he says, he doesn't have this Amazon mentality where, how you order something on your phone and it's here in less than 7 days. He's taking things slow. He says it's going to be a progression. It's going to be a process, not to steal a line from the Philadelphia 76ers, but he says he will trust the process. So both of these guys, very impressive. During minicamp, there's ups and downs, but, they were very, very impressive at the podium during minicamp day one. So they will keep moving forward, and we're moving forward in the running back room because Nick Chubb is now gone. And so as we take a look at what Nick Chubb did while he was with the Browns, there's his stats. He had some great years with us, but here's what I'm going to say, folks. Okay, the unpopular opinion first. And I've been telling my buddies this me personally would never pay a running back, especially now with these rookie contracts. The average age, the lifespan of a running back in the NFL, 28 years old, they're usually done. When they get to 30, they're done. I know Derrick Henry and, there are some anomalies, but look at all these guys. McCaffrey even, they gave him a bag and he's hurt all the time. These guys, man, they're just... They're ticking time bombs, folks, because they take such a beating. And that is my unpopular opinion. I would always, if I was running a team, I would let these guys run their rookie quarter, and I would go out and find a new one when their contracts were up. But here's what I want to say about this is, to me, is the probably the best case scenario when it comes to the transition from Nick Chubb to, just a completely different thing. To be able to turn it over to a former Buckeye who is off a national championship season, and Quinshon Judkins, it's a little easier to digest because we got a Buckeye taking over. And then, of course, Dylan Sampson, he's the SEC rushing leader. So, not such a bad, The other thing this shows us is look, Nick, it takes two guys to replace you, man. We get it, man. There's so much respect for Nick Chubb. In this organization, but Chubb is now 29 and he's got two, major leg injuries. And so, they gave him a $2.5 million deal over there in Houston and he's got incentives. He can make some more money, but, it'll be interesting to see how he does, but I don't think he's, they still have Joe Mixon over there. They got, he's not going to start. And so, we'll see. Now, the thing about this whole situation with Nick Chubb and what we did, we kind of went, right? We give the young guys a chance to get out there and play, right? Because they're going to need that. They're going to need those reps. And you know what I say? We need to do the same thing with the quarterback room. We need to get to these rookies sooner rather than later, especially, we know Flacco. Come on. We know that situation. But Pickett, we opted to not pick up the option. So that there's like this cliff at the end of this season for Kenny Pickett. And that's why, like, to me, he's the most tradable asset, that we have in the quarterback room. But we need to get to these guys. We need to find out what Dillon Gabriel and Shador Sanders can do. Is our quarterback of the future in that room? Is Shador the guy? Is Dillon Gabriel? I mean, third round pick. They saw something. So, but we need to get to that sooner rather than later, and I think we will. And by sooner, I mean maybe 8 or 9 games into the season. We'll see something, but we need to treat the quarterback room now the same way we just did the running back room. When it's time, it's time. You gotta get younger. You gotta get younger faster in the quarterback room. Now, one thing we don't need to do is get better in the viewer comments, because you guys are always on the mark when it comes to the viewer comments. And we're going to start today with James E3M46. More password than it is a YouTube handle. But he says, think Kevin is a better coach. We might think Kevin is a better coach offensively than anyone in Pittsburgh. That's why we might think Pickett could be better here. He's also very young. He could just get better because of experience. I'm not suggesting that he will. He might be okay for a while. And he might be okay for a while. And to be honest, you almost kind of hope that, right? You showcase him a little bit and then trade him. Hopefully somebody comes knocking. Somebody in the comments, said something about, Detroit will need a quarterback. Yeah, I think there will be several teams, even by the time we get to training camp, who might be, you get into training camp and there are going to be teams looking for quarterbacks. And so that's when it's going to get serious. Okay, the Uncle Bucket. Great handle. This kid, Shador Sanders, has had one single focus in his life, and that is to be a quarterback like his idol, Tom Brady. He has reached his goal now, and now he knows the work he needs to do to accomplish what he wants to get done in his career. And we heard that in his press conference after Minicamp Day 1 yesterday. I mean, he talked about that. He's like, this is all about just learning and growing and getting better and just, taking it one day at a time and going in and the bad passes, figuring out why they were bad passes and making them better the next day and just approaching every single night, whether it's the walkthroughs, the virtual reality, the indoor work, that they're doing, all of it. It all applies, and he's just building this package to achieve his goal, which is to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Tim Green, 8432, says, get back to the run game with Judkins and Sampson. It always opens up the passing game. I 100% agree, and I think we are going to see a lot of that. And that's why I think all of these quarterbacks have a chance to be successful in this system, because I think we're going to pound it, and I think we're going to be throwing a lot of high percentage passes, meaning short, a lot of run after catch. We talked about Jamari Thrash. That was his calling card in college. You see it a lot with Judy. Even that pass they put up with Gabriel. It was a skinny post, caught it and ran. So I think that's what you're going to see a lot of from this offense this year. I think we will get back to that running game, Tim Green. And then we'll end on Gerald Chisholm, who says, I hate orange and brown as a combo for uniforms. Okay, well, here's the one thing that happens with the uniforms all the time. There's always a controversy if you mess with the orange pants when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. We call it the orange pants controversy here in Cleveland. It refers to the long-standing debate of whether or not the team's uniform combination with the orange pants is better. Me, love the orange pants. I love the brown jersey I think Brian Sight back in those days, the brown jersey with the orange pants. I love the white jersey with the orange. We love the orange pants here in Cleveland. And so the orange and brown combo, I think the orange makes the brown so much better, as long as we don't ever have to go through the orange's oranger again. If you're not familiar with it, a while back, they said they changed the uniform. Everybody was up in an uproar, and then they unveiled the new uniform, and everybody's like, "What's different?" They're like, "The orange is oranger." We're like, this is why people laugh at us. Quit with the orange is oranger nonsense. Okay, but the orange to me, and you see, I've always got my orange sleeves on. The orange makes the uniform for us. Those orange pants, love those orange pants with the orange helmet, the brown jersey, love it all. Okay, Minicamp Day 2. They're about to get out there and get underway, and we're gonna go through it all. We'll hear from the players and the coaches once again, and we'll get you some pictures and break it all down for you. Okay, we're off and running now, folks. Already in minicamp. Then we'll have one more OTA, and then it's training camp. And then it's like preseason. Once training camp gets here, it's like, wow, we're running downhill. So, all right, that'll do it for today. Thanks for joining us. Go Browns. We'll see you next time.